Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brutal Truth, where we learn to discuss hard topics in open, honest, and respectful way. Here at Brutal Truth, we are tired of divisive ways of discussion that has become so common in today's society. We want to go back to not only giving our point of view on a topic, but understand all sides and allow ourselves to grow. We also want to find common ground. We all live together in this world. If we can learn to understand and respect one another, then maybe we can learn to respect each other and our beliefs again. So this is what we're doing. We're gonna sit here, and guys, you know, we're 1 week away from election Tuesday, so we figured why not start the entire thing off talking politics. You just started studying about politics. What? You know,
I'm scared. Pop quiz.
So obvious. Yeah, we're gonna test you on your studying. How many political parties are there?
More than 2.
Technically, that's true, but there's really only 2 parties that can take. We are technically a 2-party system. There are other parties that attempt every once in a while to get in the system, but yeah, we are technically we are a 2-party system. Now you've been studying on the differences between the two. Which direction do you consider which direction do you lean? What's your leaning?
Towards Democratic.
You lean towards Democratic. Would you consider yourself, after having looking to be a Democratic?
Yes.
A Democrat, or I consider myself an independent. So
I didn't study that party. Is that
so independent means you aren't technically anything. Like, I have voted Republican, I have voted Democrat. I agree with bits and pieces of either of them, although we'll talk about it. Not as many on the Republican side do I agree with in their current state, but up until their current state, I considered myself a Republican or an independent, because there are times I've voted Republican and other times I've voted Democrat. I really try and make my decision on who I vote for based on the person's actual views, as opposed to right now, where if you call yourself a Republican or you call yourself a Democrat, you usually just vote for that.
Yes.
You know, you usually just, you know, you stick to the party line, which I hate. It's like the worst thing, and we weren't designed to be that way in any way, shape, or form. Hold on a second. It's like I haven't been doing this before. Anyways, so November 8th is voting day. Are you going to vote?
I am.
Okay.
And this is why I'm really happy we're doing this. I was just going to vote down the line. I don't know anything about... Yes. I don't know anything about, like, who's running.
To be fair, I'm probably going to vote down the line. But that's because, at least where I am in North Carolina, they all be kind of crazy right now.
They do be kind of crazy.
So
I feel like in New York...
Intruder alert on deck 8.
Oh, shoot, I forgot to turn one off! Dang it.
Wait, what happened? I missed it. I can only see your face.
I tried to turn off all of the commands that made sounds, and I missed one.
How dare you, Nat?
How I missed it.
What a pro streamer.
I know. It's fine. We'll just be cutting things in the podcast. It's fine. It's okay.
I could do that. I could cut it. I'm a good editor.
You can go for it. Anyways, so you're gonna vote, and you're happy because you don't know anything about your party line.
I know nothing. Yeah.
So are you going to vote? Are you going to try and vote early, or are you going to vote on the 8th? Is that your plan?
I think I'm going to vote on the 8th.
Okay.
I feel like I need that time to figure out.
You need to figure out what the heck's going on.
Oh yeah. What about you?
So we actually got the stuff to do absentee ballots.
Oh,
but
okay.
In North Carolina, they have made it much more difficult to do absentee. So it used to be you had to get one other person that watched you fill it out, and so you could prove that, you know, you were a real person. Now they require 2 people to do it, and it's just like, I never leave the house. I don't see anybody. I don't know when the heck I'm going to get 2 people to sign this thing. So
wow, that's wild.
Who knows? Who knows? I might just go in. We got an early voting place right near us that I probably will go to.
So with early voting,
yep.
Isn't it like every day it's in a different place?
No, there's usually an early voting. Just there's just less of them. So like on voting day, there'll be like probably like 5 places around you that do it. But when but early voting, there's probably like 1 place within like 5 to 10 minutes for you to vote in. Okay. That's usually what it is. In some places, there's been only 1. It was actually in the news like 2 weeks ago. This one, I don't forget what state it was. I feel like it was Arizona, but it could have been someone else. They're all crazy in Arizona right now.
Wait, what's happening in Arizona?
Oh, they are like... Right now, Arizonians, I don't know how you say it. Arizonians, we're going to say Arizonians, are like the primo, are like the primo, the center of the Joe Biden stole the election, voter fraud statements, all that kind of stuff. Yes. But there was a school, I don't know which school it was, but they set it up like there used to be like multiple early voting spots in this area that the school was in, and they cut it to only like 1, and it was only like during a small period of time too, and like everyone was flipping out about it because they didn't know how students were going to be able to get there to vote.
Or like, people that are working. I'm sure it was like during working hours.
But there's also been things about voter intimidation and all these other things going on. And it's kind of crazy right now. I've been doing a bunch of things on TikTok. Guys, if you do not follow my TikTok or Rosie's TikTok, in fact, but my TikTok, if you specifically are interested in politics stuff, I've been doing a series called I'm a Christian and I'm voting blue. It's actually been super interesting. It's been like super, super interesting to see the responses of people when I do it.
I don't through them.
Yeah, I don't go around saying like, I don't go around just being like, I'm a Christian. Like it's something absolutely. It's not like, it's a big part of my life, but it's not a big part of my interacting with other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And there have been good discussions on there for you.
But yeah, because I mean, I've had some really good ones with people that are like, obviously you're getting the abortion people, you're getting the like abortion is killing, and I talk about like, look, you are allowed to believe that, but the fact is we shouldn't be. And we can jump into the first. I mean, we can jump into abortion. Do you want to jump? Is abortion the first one we want to jump into?
Please, let's jump into that.
You want to jump into abortion, guys? Okay. Abortion. First, I mean, I know the answer already, but because this is a podcast and there are people listening, do you consider yourself pro-life, pro-choice?
Oh, pro-choice.
Pro-choice. Okay.
What about you?
This is how I put it. I tell people, I am pro-life, but I think women should have the right to do whatever they want with their bodies, especially in conversation with a doctor.
Okay.
I personally would not get, I mean, obviously I can't get an abortion, but I personally would not encourage anyone to get an abortion. Obviously, it's different if you're talking the life of the mother.
Yes.
Which is a whole different ridiculous that we'll get into in a little bit about states even keeping that kind of stuff from happening.
People. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that's super valid. I love hearing that you're pro-life, but
yeah, it's
up to everybody else for what's best for them.
Yep. I am very, very strong in the belief, there's a big thing, obviously, separation of church and state. I'm a big proponent of that. I don't believe anything. If what I believe religiously is not something that I would also consider a
tactic.
I don't know how to put it. So the idea is like, so murder. The Bible says murder is bad. The Bible says murder is bad, but that's also just I don't think that's a I don't think saying murder is bad is just a religious thing. I think that is a human thing.
Yes. Yes.
So if this is like laws that protect humans, those should be universal, whether it's in my religion or not, because you're protecting other humans.
Yes.
Those, which obviously is where it gets weird with abortion right now with Christians, but that's beside the point. The other thing though is if you're talking like the welfare of humans, which again, we will talk about it later. We're also dealing with LGBTQIA plus and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, we have had a lot of conversations with people about that. But anyways, so abortion, obviously, both of us think that women should have the choice to do whatever they want with their bodies. The question becomes, and here's the struggle. So I grew up in the church. I spent 40 plus years in the church. And one of the things that I have realized, in this growth, in this change of, my viewing on life. Now, it hasn't really been a change. I've always viewed the way, but I've kind of been changing direction because I've been noticing that in my mind, the church has been going in a very bad direction when it's come to how it interacts with things. So one of the, don't you hate when you start your conversation and then you forget where the hell you were going with it?
50 times a day that happens to me.
What was I trying to say? What was I trying to say, Rosie?
You were saying separation of church.
Oh, yeah. So the fact that I think that abortion that we shouldn't have abortions. The reason I think we shouldn't have abortions, honestly, is mostly because I think we as human beings tend to not want to take responsibility for our actions.
Okay.
So the idea being sex. Forgetting your religious beliefs or your sexual identity, there is male, there is female. We were designed, whether by a creator or not, to have babies. That's what those body parts were for, is having babies. So if you take part in doing that and you have a baby, in my mind, it's like you chose to do that, knowing that there is a chance, even if it's a small chance if you're using contraceptions, to have a baby.
Okay.
Now, again, if we're talking life, life of the mother, yes, for those kind of circumstances, that's not even a question to me. If the life of the mother is in danger for something, if the fetus is not viable for whatever reason, that's just a blatantly obvious thing to me.
What happens when it's I don't know how we could say certain things on Twitch, but certain things like sexual assault, when it is a result of that.
Oh,
how do you feel about that?
I think I think an abortion should. I think an abortion should happen.
Okay.
Because I can't imagine. I can't imagine carrying the baby of someone who did that to you.
Yes.
I don't care. Look, for me, God is great. God always has a reason. But to sit there and have some guy up in friggin', Washington, D.C. or the House, wherever it is in my state, tell someone that you should have to potentially look at a kid who you know was from an assault is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that some states don't allow that too. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's absolutely messed up. I wonder how hand in hand religion is with abortion, because like for me, I grew up Jewish, but also like not really.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if I believe in God.
Right.
And I'm like super pro-choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hear what you're saying about like sex and like there's responsibilities, and like if something happens, like you have to take on those responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the other hand of like children are so expensive. Not even just like, I know that people say, well, then you can adopt, but even just those 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
like going to the gynecologist and like getting like prenatal supplements and making sure you're healthy is so expensive. A lot of people can't even afford that. And so even like just the life of the mother aside, just like the mental health, I guess I just can't. I can understand the other side, but I also can't. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, and honestly, I will say, religion aside, I'd probably still feel that way. Okay. Because I think as a whole, I think our society just is unwilling to take on the responsibility for the choices that they make. I hear you
100%.
I hear you so loud and clear about the idea of it's expensive. I've got a friggin' how old's my kid now?
I feel
15-year-old. I've got a 15-year-old kid. I swear it's gotten more expensive once they get older. So I get it. But in the end, if it's like the idea is if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Okay. It's an old statement. I'm showing my age here with these old statements. If you can't do that.
What is that, Grandpa?
Yeah, I know. Seriously. So again, it's not that I'm against the idea. I understand. In the grand scheme of things, if that kid's life is going to be worse off, like truly worse off, because it came into this world, I'm not sure I'd want to do that to the kid.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think that that's totally right. But
I feel like we have. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I just said, but in the end, we need to take responsibility for our choices, and that's not just regarding sex. It's regarding everything. We do not take responsibility for our choices. We make our choices because we want to do it, and then when something bad happens, we go, I don't want to deal with that, or that wasn't me, or all the other stupid things that people will throw out there.
I think we talked about this yesterday too, and it has a lot to do with the fear of failure, like in society.
Yeah.
You just can't fail. And so you don't even try. Or if you mess up or do something, and then you having to take that responsibility on is so scary.
Yeah.
Because you already feel like you're such a failure.
And it's not even just the fear of failure. It's also the so many kids now are taught that admitting you are wrong is a act of weakness.
Yes. And it's not.
It's not. I think the reason that certain generations especially have gotten that idea, especially the younger, the Zoomers, is millennials apologize for everything.
Oh my God. All the time.
You apologize for everything. I can confirm you apologize for everything. But, that's also, that's everything. Then there's my generation that, is like that in between, is dealing with, we grew up with, rub some dirt in and get back to work.
Can I tell you? I feel you guys are stuck in between, like the millennials.
We're rocking a hard place.
Yeah, you really are.
Yeah.
The boomers are like, it's all your fault. The millennials, are like, oh, you're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you guys are just kind of stuck in the middle.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah.
What's it like? Tell us, Nat.
I often, lie in bed, weeping tears into my pillow.
I knew it. It's okay. We can give you help.
I'm not, although it is funny. Like you watch some YouTubes or TikToks or whatever that talk about the generations. And there is the fact that, we've got it hard in one case, but the millennials are the ones that just get drunk to be able to survive. Is it wrong?
No, it's so right.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, I read something years ago, and every day I'm like, this is so true, where they said the millennial dream is to just own a house and be able to afford it.
Yeah, it's not happening.
No. What happened to the world? I mean, we do have inflation on there too to talk about.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Jeez. God. Man. It's just, it's so hard. It's so hard. I don't know how professional you want to be. I almost said that's what she said. I'm saying it, but it is. That's fine. Hard. You can say that. We're okay.
I feel like we came in like a little bit of a common ground there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact is, I remember. See, now the light
5 years
came.
ago?
I found it. I remembered exactly what I was going to say. So the thing that I was going to say was the thing that non-Christians especially don't understand is, like, Christians in general live in fear of going to hell. That's like the overarching problem for Christians.
That's so sad.
Well, I mean, you think about it. There's this list of rules in the 10 Commandments, which in the end are, you should live this certain way. And most of it are pretty obvious things. Like, the things in the 10 Commandments aren't like crazy. No, they're pretty basic things. But this idea that if you live this way and you do these things and you follow these rules, you'll go to heaven. And again, we can talk about it with it goes with abortion, but it also goes with things like LGBTQ. The reason that we get that Christians on the far end, on the conservative side, especially conservative Christians, have been taught that if you do these certain sins, abortion being one, because the far right conservative considers that murder, or LGBTQ, they're worried that those people they love, whether it's their kids or themselves, are going to hell. And going to hell is the ultimate bad for someone who's been growing up in the church.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying.
Like, your choice is follow these rules and go to heaven, or don't. Yeah. And this is what my pastor's been telling me for the past 40 years will send you to hell. So you don't do it.
I am shooketh. In Judaism, we don't even have hell.
No, and other ones just have, Catholics have like stages of hell. Or not hell. They have, what do they have? Starts with a P. Purgatory. They have like levels of purgatory.
Oh, okay. Like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
That's just why. Like, who thought of that?
Purgatory? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want to speak to them.
I mean, it's a Catholic thing, so it's been around for a while.
Well, give me his name and his.
Get me his name. All right, I'll send a tweet out about it.
Please do.
We got to make sure that we get the tweet going for. Can one of the mods tweet out the guy who invented purgatory? Just get him. Please. Maybe we can get him on the show.
I need a report.
We can get him on the show to talk about it. He might be dead, but that's
he might be in purgatory himself.
He might be in purgatory himself. Oh no. Oh no.
Full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it a good full circle though? I'm not sure.
Not for him.
Although we did talk about religion and politics.
Ooh.
I forgot that was one. We kind of like jumped into that.
Yeah, we kind of did.
What do you what obviously there's an extreme bad when it comes to religion and politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the crazy part. So when you think of religion and knowing you and the fact that you haven't been studying the world or politics at all, you probably won't be able to answer it. But I'll ask this to the people that are listening in the podcast, and if you're right after I say it, then good for you. But what is like considered the ultimate evil when it comes to religion and government coinciding in the same? And I know there's people out there that know the answer to what I'm asking.
Is this a multiple choice kind of question? Maybe?
No, well, I mean, I can say it, but
no,
I can give a multiple choice. If you really don't know, I'll give a multiple choice.
I don't.
Okay. We'll give you 4 choices. Russia.
Wait, what? Where did Russia come from?
You said the ultimate evil in terms of religion and politics, religion and government being intertwined.
Okay.
Russia.
Okay.
China. Iran.
Okay.
North Korea. You think North Korea?
No, I'm taking that back.
You're taking that back.
I'm taking it back. I'm going with Iran.
It's Iran. Iran is the epitome of a church-run state. That's one of the reasons that that's why they're having all the friggin' riots they've gotten, because they've got morality police. They have got police whose only job is to watch over people's quote unquote morality, which means if you show too much of your body, if you're a woman, or you show too much hair, or your pants are too tight, you can get arrested.
And then what happens when you get arrested in Iran? I feel like
usually nothing good. The reason the protests are happening is a young lady got arrested by the morality police, and we assume got beat up, and she died in custody.
Oh my gosh.
And people flipped out, and now there's a revolution basically going on in Iran.
Wow. That's awful.
So it's interesting how often to me that Christians talk about religion, this being America being a Christian state, and just trying to push their beliefs, and the reason they think that these beliefs are happening is because of God. And it's like, that's why we have a separation of church and state. The fact is we in America, there are so many religions.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many beliefs and so many races. How can we even consider having one that that can oversee the rest of them? It's not possible.
I do want to know what the stats are for, like, is it actually the majority of America, religion-wise? Is like Christianity, Catholicism?
Christianity, my understanding is Christianity as a whole is still number one. Now, I mean, there's always things like how many of those people that consider themselves Christians are actually practicing Christians. We can look it up. Let's see top religions in the US. So Christianity, if you're taking out things like Mormons, which I don't consider part of Christianity, equate to about 60% of the United States.
Wow. Yep.
And it literally goes from like Christianity's at the top, and then unaffiliated with anything is number 2. And then you're talking like 5% and things for like everything else.
Wait, that is absolutely wild. I wonder how much of that has to do with, like being converted, like Christopher Columbus coming here, and converting people, and then that just going down the line for hundreds of years, that kind of thing.
Back then, everyone considered themselves Christian. You know, back when Christopher Columbus and the Pilgrims and everything came over here, like that was the state religion. Basically, England was at that time especially, was a religion-run government. You know, it was a religious state. The king was considered basically next to God. The only time it wasn't, in a lot of cases, the Pope was considered very high, like was considered high up there too. Like the king and the Pope were like buddy.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading things and it's just blowing my mind that this is according to Wikipedia. In 2019, Christians represented 65% of the total adult population. It was number one. The second largest religion was Judaism, and it's 2% of the population.
Yep. Yeah.
That blows my mind.
You know, and that's where it gets hard. That's where it gets hard when you've got now, how many of that percentage go to church on a regular basis? How many of that percentage are conservative because they're the new, you know, in Christianity, the new common is actually not being affiliated with any denomination specific. And is those tend to religious? Be more liberal leaning denominations. So they call them non-denominational or you know, there's a bunch of different names for them. The church I go to right now is not, we aren't associated with any denomination in particular.
Wow. Okay.
So it's there's a reason. The reason that that our forefathers put it in the Constitution was they did not want a state that was run by the church because they saw how bad it was in England. There's a reason that the current monarchy in England doesn't really run anything except for technically the church, even though they don't really run the church either.
Yeah. I do feel like, though, this is what I was talking about with monopolies too.
Yeah.
I feel like it is happening. That religion is kind of running America.
Because again, I'll tell you why. It's fear. Fear is the reason that Christians are doing this, is they see everything they knew and loved, everything they knew they were told was true since they were a kid. The left, the Democrats, are saying that's not the way it is anymore. There's not just him and her. There's they, and you know, there's not just, you know, it's men aren't just men, women aren't just women. There are men that identify as women and women identify as men, and they don't know how to handle it.
Is it like a fear of change? It's
a fear of change, but it's okay, well, look at it this way. You grew up with something. Think of the one thing in your life that you like, when you think about it, it just seems blatantly like there's no question in your mind. Let's even go with like murder is bad. Okay, murder, okay. You get told you just know murder is bad. And then all of a sudden someone walks up to you and says, actually, murder is good. And here's all these reasons. And you start listening, and there's part of you that goes, wait, maybe. And you just go, no. Murder is bad. That's what I've known for 40 years of my life. Murder is bad. And you can't tell me otherwise.
So it's like an ineffective, like you just can't change your brain.
Yeah.
Like it's a stubbornness.
It's stubbornness and fear. Because if one thing that you grew up thinking was bad is not bad, how much of everything else you've learned throughout the years that you thought was one way is a different way.
So you start doing like a domino effect, like going down a spiral.
It's everything. It's the potential. Everything that you've ever known could be wrong, and that is like, for some Christians, that idea is death. There are still people out there. There are still people that are calling themselves Christians that think that won't let their kids watch things like Hocus Pocus or read Harry Potter because they think that somehow witchcraft could become real, even though and I know there are people that practice witchcraft, but the fact is watching Hocus Pocus and
Harry Potter
and reading Harry Potter isn't going to magically make those words that you say do anything. I can say Wingardium Leviosa all I want, and Rosie is not going to start flying through the air.
I want to, though.
I'm sorry. It doesn't matter how many times I say it.
Dagnabbit.
So me watching something isn't going to change anything. But that's what we're dealing with. It's fear. It's deep-rooted fear. It's deep-rooted fear that everything that you ever knew could be wrong. And we don't like to, and we already talked about this, we don't like to admit we were wrong. It's harder to admit you're wrong and change your mindset than it is to just say, I don't believe you. You're all messed up. Get out of my face. That's easier.
It seems so extremist to me. Like, okay, what I mean is like, thinking, well, if this is bad, or if I've been thinking of this one thing wrong, then everything else. Like, that is such an extreme way to think.
Yeah.
Instead of just taking that one thing and like dissecting it.
I mean, the fact is we grew up in also the city. We grew up around, rural America is so different. I mean, rural America is literally walking into another country, which you sort of know.
Oh my God, yes it is, yeah.
Hello, Colorado.
Oh my God.
For those of you that are listening, Rosie is our commensurate actress. She is a Broadway actress. Amazing singer. You should definitely follow her, by the way, everywhere. We'll make sure to put links in all of the places so you can follow all of us. But she went to Colorado for a couple months to do a show there, and it was like the middle of nowhere.
Oh my God, it was like desolate.
Yeah. It was beautiful though, right?
It was gorgeous. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Take me back.
But rural is very different, and the people there tend to be very
Republican.
Sure, let's go with that. I had someone argue with me that California was blue in the respect that with the idea that they have no Republicans in California.
No.
Do you know how many? So of the 17 million people that voted in the 2020 election, do you know how many of them were Republican?
I'm going to say, hold on, I'm trying to do math in my head. 48%. So what is that? Do the math.
48? Just go with 50 if you're going to do 48%. Oh my gosh.
Well, I want to say it's like just under half.
No, it wasn't that. So like 6 million voted Republican or voted for Trump. Let's say voted for Trump. I can't guarantee that all those people consider themselves Republican, but 6 million, so about a third of California voters voted for Trump in 2020, which is a pretty big amount when you think about it. When considering how you consider, like when people look at California, you think blue all the way through, you know?
Honestly, same with I'm looking at New York. It was 26% voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right.
What were we talking about?
No, that's fine. We did a bunch of stuff on religion. You want to head over to your favorite, inflation and economy?
Oh, I love that one.
Who doesn't love talking about the economy?
Oh, it's
Everybody
great.
loves talking about the economy.
They really do. And I know everything about it.
You know everything about it?
Yeah, everything.
All right, talk to me. You do it. You give us the first.
There's money.
There's money. Yep.
Yes, and that money gets bigger
Does the actual money get bigger?
Physically gets bigger.
Physically gets bigger.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we get bigger wallets.
That's why we get bigger
it
wallets.
Inflates like balloons, you know?
How much cash do you actually hold on to?
Whatever. Okay. It used to be 0. But now that I'm like getting tipped by people, like my clients,
okay,
I'll probably have like maybe $100 in my wallet.
I think I have $2 in my wallet, and that's about how much I've had for the last like 2 years.
Yeah. You can't go get a Coke. Why do you have it?
Can you even get a Coke for $2?
No, actually.
No, I don't think you can.
Wait, there you go. Inflation.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything is so freaking expensive now.
Yep. And that's probably the biggest thing right now.
Low. Yes.
That's probably the thing that most people that are voting right now are worried about, obviously the most. I've heard a lot of people talking about all the things that they can't. They're like worried, like they can't even afford to pay to feed their kids.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is the Republican Party has done a great job convincing people that they are the party that knows how to deal with money. They're wrong. And I can show you a myriad of statistics that show you how wrong they are. But for some reason they were able to convince everyone who's voting for them in their party that they know about money. And that's that's another reason I'm not voting, because they are flat out lying to get people to.
Okay, what is up with that? There's so much lying going. I mean, it's been going on.
Both sides are lying. They're just lying in different ways.
Yeah.
Republicans have been way more blatant about it, because for some reason their party doesn't care that they're lying.
Okay. And they don't care if you can fact check it.
No, well, because they also have decided that the liberal media is, that's what they call it. The liberal media is making up stuff. Like, the people that are doing the lying are also saying that the liberal media are just liars. So if they say that they're lying, they're just lying about them lying. And then the lying just continues, and there's lying, and with more lying. It's just about a lying. Guys, stop lying.
So much lying.
Stop lying.
Stop lying.
God.
Like we told them.
I did a TikTok today talking about how you cannot trust anything. You should not take anything that someone says from either party, from any party, at face value.
No.
You should always, especially if it's something that's important to you, if someone says blah, 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 blah. I had someone talk to me about, the voter fraud. And the first thing I did was look it up and look at multiple stories in multiple different places.
Okay, so that's a question I have for you.
Yeah.
Where do you look it up where it's not biased?
Well, everything is biased. Like if you look at media, there's certain media outlets that are considered to be less biased than others. But it's almost impossible to not have bias. The real thing that makes certain media companies different is how soon they come out with the story. So if you hear a story, like, for example, a certain media company that I don't consider a real news company called Fox News.
I thought you were gonna say something else. Sorry.
No, Fox News
TikTok
is, well, TikTok is the same, but Fox News, they hear a story and the first thing they do is they come out and they talk about it. They don't do any research. They just figure out how they can make it as absolutely insane as possible.
And now, is that because they want clicks, like for money?
Yeah.
Or
it's money. It's all about money.
So everything is just because we're a capitalist society. Everything's about money. Okay. I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
I mean, normally we're supposed to be teaching the people that are listening to the podcast, but if we can teach you some things too, then that's okay.
Today I am learning. But I want to disagree with you with the TikTok thing, where I think it's a great news source because there's no filtering. People that are like on the ground, like when Ukraine, when like the war was just happening, and news outlets were spinning their own ways. Like, what is it? What was that phrase that we said yesterday? Where you look for your opinion.
It'll
come
observation bias. Confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias. Yeah, literally that. I feel like that was the one time they are the one place where you didn't get that. It was just people that were being affected that were showing things how it was happening.
But that's only sort of true, because if you think about it, because of the way TikTok's algorithm works, you're only going to get people that are in the stuff that you keep watching through. So, which is why people in TikTok can potentially get some serious bias going on.
Absolutely.
So it's tough, but the idea is when you find, when even on TikTok though, you see someone that says blah 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 happened. If it's something that feels like it's an important thing to you, then go look up more sources. Like I said, one part I was talking about the voter fraud in like Pennsylvania in 2020. One of the biggest things everyone's talking about. This guy said, he just came up with this fact. He just said, 90,000 votes, all came in at once, and the only one that they voted for in those ballots were Biden. Mm-hmm. And I did some research on it after. It turns out it's just people that went in. They didn't care about the rest of the people on their ballot. They just voted for the president. They didn't want to vote for, in our family, my wife and I, we don't vote for people we never looked up. Like, if we didn't find out what the person stood for, we're not going to vote for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how it should be.
So these people that probably weren't going to vote at all said, oh, this is a big election. We need to go in. All we care about is the president. So we're just going to vote for the president and turn it in. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did. So, but someone who's trying to say that the election was rigged is going to go, oh, this is very suspicious and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, that's normal, especially when you consider the fact that record people voted in the 2020 election. More people voted in 2020 than had ever voted in a presidential election. And the presidential election already gets more votes than a midterm. This is probably going to be the biggest midterm election you have ever seen.
Okay, and why is that?
Because it's basically been thrown out as a big boxing match, but for the left, the left and the right. If the right win, then they've already put out their plan of action, i.e., they've said they're gonna impeach all these people. They're gonna make a national abortion ban. They're gonna
didn't they? Well, I guess they didn't, but with Roe v. Wade being overturned, I guess that's just the first step, huh?
Well, that was the Supreme Court. That's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
That's not election. We have Supreme Court justices that lied under oath in order to get in. They literally, the three that were voted in under Trump, when they talked to the committee that had to approve them becoming Supreme Court justices, they said Roe v. Wade is a national institution. We will not get rid of it. And then they went and got rid of it.
Oh my God.
So
that is so heartbreaking.
It is very
not surprising.
It was crazy. I still shake my head thinking about it.
Oh my God. I remember exactly where I was when I heard the news. We were driving to rehearsal in Colorado, and we had to pull the car over. The entire car was women just hysterically crying.
Yep. Now, arguably, what really needs to happen is what potentially could happen if the Democrats win the House and the Senate, which is unlikely, but you never know. If enough people come out, it could easily happen.
So what have they proposed?
So what happened here is, instead of the Supreme Court basically saying this lower court ruling is standing, which means that everyone's got to live by it. Mm-hmm. You know, Biden wants to, now that they basically said, you know, this should be to the states. You know, again, I don't agree with it, but there is argument that it's not the court's job to decide something like that. That being said, I think something like big like that is the government's job.
Yes.
To make rules on that, because again, we talked about it before, that the government's job should be the protection of rights of all people, no matter your gender, race, or sexual orientation. So arguably what could potentially come from this is a better system set up anyways, you know, assuming we don't get crazy people that like it just goes back and forth by putting it into law and then taking it out of law. Mm-hmm. But technically, if they get the House and Senate, or even just one of them, there's the potential of codifying Roe v. Wade into the law of the land, which is the government saying it. Yeah, like establishing basically Roe v. Wade as a, you know, they call it something else, obviously, but to the extent that they would basically take what Roe v. Wade gave to the LGBTQ community to them as a law, as opposed to just an understanding based on a ruling of the lower court back in the 50s or the 70s, whenever Roe v. Wade was.
Now, isn't that sad?
There's a lot. We don't have time to go into all the sad things that were from the past. Let's be honest here. There are lots of sad things that were going on.
Oh my God, yeah. And I just feel like we're just going back to it.
So and we'll go back to the economy because there's still a lot to talk about.
Oh my God, I forgot we were talking about
But I said this when Trump and Hillary Clinton were going at it in 2016. I said we are nearing a generational precipice. The difference between Boomer X and Millennial Z is so great that there was no way that this kind of stuff wasn't going to happen. I like to hark it back to when rock and roll first came out and everyone decided that rock and roll was of the devil.
Oh, okay.
We're basically at that point.
Rock and roll is so bad.
Except we're not talking music now. We're talking people's lives, which is you know, stupid in its own right. Mm-hmm. But we are at a tipping point. We've got all of these old people that are in charge right now, but these old people are going to be dying.
Good.
And you can't say it's good for people to die.
I take it back. I hope they all live prosperous lives and they live until they're 150.
To anyone listening, the words coming out of Rosie's mouth are not at all the thoughts of all of the people in this stream.
Oh yeah, okay. Nat, you could say it. It's okay.
You just want to change it? Rosie's crazy. Rosie be crazy. No, we don't want them to die. But the fact is they're going to die.
Yeah, I mean, and if they do, it's fine.
And
remember when you invited me to be on this? Are you regretting that right now?
I'm regretting a lot of things, but having you on is probably not one of them. But the fact is as they pass, obviously the people, you know, millennials are going to start getting into office, and it's you know, the numbers that are voting Republican compared to the numbers voting Democrat is going to change.
Yeah, it's a seesaw.
You know, who knows what the generation is going to be like that comes after Zoomer. Maybe they'll go back in the other direction because it's possible. The fact is,
it is.
You know,
Everything's cyclical.
I said this about other things, like when it comes to let's talk about sex, baby. But let's talk about sex. When it comes to, sex, people that were in, my generation, the boomer generation, it was, they talked about celibacy and, you don't do it, which is why you've got all these people that you don't even take off your t-shirts when you go in the pool because you're going to make people think bad thoughts and all these other things like that. But what happened because of it? The boomers and the Gen Xers that thought that way had millennial kids. Mm-hmm. And so what happened? The millennials go, this is insane. I'm not doing this. And now what happens is everyone got an OnlyFans.
Okay. Yeah, it's very much
the reason a lot of them do is not a bad thing. There are lots of people that feel very confident in their body and their sexuality, which isn't a bad thing.
Amazing.
Do I personally think it may have gone a bit far? Yes, but that just means I ain't gonna have an OnlyFans.
Yeah. I think it's such a great thing.
If you want an OnlyFans, if any of you guys want OnlyFans, you can have an OnlyFans. It's okay. I'll still love you.
Not gave you permission. You're good now.
Yeah, you got the permission. Go for it. But because of that's why it's so bad right now, because the boomers especially are trying to hold on. They're holding on with a vice grip.
You know why? Because they walked 2 miles up in the snow.
Only 2.
And back. 10 miles.
10 miles uphill, both ways, without shoes on, and a refrigerator strapped to their backs.
Exactly.
And they just rubbed some dirt in it.
That's what she said.
That is really. That could. I mean, she could have said that. That's possible.
She definitely said it on OnlyFans.
When I was growing up, I had some friends who did a lot of skits for kids and stuff, and they had these characters that they had this thing they always said, and they'd be like, they always needed to show how manly they were, kind of a thing. That's what these characters were like, and they're like,
okay,
we had to walk uphill both ways with refrigerator strapped to our backs, filled with bowling balls, injected with lead, just to make it a little bit heavier. God. That was the kind of thing. So every time I hear going up the hill both ways kind of a thing, I want to say that line every single time.
You should just say it.
That's
amazing.
Well, maybe I will.
Now you should.
But then the person is going to hear this podcast and go, hey, that's my line. And I'm going to go, well, you didn't copyright it, sucker.
Yeah. Take that.
Do you like that? I practiced that.
Boy, I don't know what, that was not a Z formation, but I'll give it to you.
But do you do 4 normally? I always did it 3.
No, I do 4. What is this?
That's what a Z is.
You're doing.
Do you know how to do a Z? Do you know how to write a Z? Yeah, that's what I did.
Do it again. We're gonna have to work on that.
Okay, we can work on it. We'll work on it. Jeez. All right, back to economics. So no one's gonna ever own a house.
No.
Ever.
No.
Do you know why?
Because you can't.
But do you know why?
Loans.
No.
Have you seen the mortgage? Okay.
Of course you have. The mortgage is insane.
Oh my
now the
God.
mortgage. So here's the problem. And again, I did a TikTok about it, but here's the problem. People are greedy. People are greedy. Super greedy.
Okay, wait, explain, because I don't think I'm understanding.
So we have inflation. Our inflation in the United States is 8%? Whoever's listening is obviously yelling at me right now. It's not 8%, whatever. But it's 8%. It's somewhere between 7 and 8% in inflation in the United States. The reason we are in inflation right now is because companies have unilaterally raised the prices of everything.
Mm-hmm.
They say it's because the cost of their stuff has gone up. That's a bunch of BS.
Yes.
And you know how I know?
Did you look it up?
No. Because if a company that says they're raising prices because the cost of everything has gone up, how can they be having record profits year after year?
Ooh.
So, oil companies, they have, Shell had like $9.5 billion in profit. It's the most profit they have ever had, ever. Yeah. If the price of gas went up and the price... So, the normal things happen. Price of gas goes up. What happens? People probably buy less gas.
Yes. Yeah.
So technically, their profits should go down a little bit or at least be stagnant.
Yes.
And yet they made more money than they ever made. Which means either they're firing a lot of people, which I guess is possible, or the prices didn't really, the amount the prices went up wasn't significant enough to actually affect their profits.
Yes. I did see a study somewhere, and I wish I had it or could figure out how to look it up, but it was exactly what you're saying. That they said that the prices went up, like, for manufacturing costs, and it was like to a dime.
Yeah. And depending on what stuff you're talking about, the inflation was like a 15 to 20% increase.
Yes. Yes.
Eggs are like double or like 15 or 20% more expensive for like eggs and cheese and things like that.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And the minimum wage can't keep up for some reason.
Well, it can't keep up because it hasn't been raised in like 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, ours is getting raised, I think, by like $2.
Yeah, but that's the state. I'm talking the federal. The federal minimum wage is still $7.50 or something like that. And some states,
that's just unlivable.
Some states, can like mine,
in tandem,
are still, they don't have a state.
Wow.
They don't have a different state minimum wage. They aren't like, Massachusetts is 15.
Yes,
I think
New
there's other
York
ones like
15.
Seattle, like Washington or Oregon or something, like they would raise theirs up. I think sure California did too.
Yeah, I think New York it's going up to like 17 in 2023, which is great.
Yeah.
But you still can't really live off of that.
No, I mean, you can't live off of 15. You can't live off of 17. No. Not in New York.
No.
17 in New York?
Oh my God.
Oh my
Do you know
goodness.
what rent is? For
That's
a
literally
2-bedroom.
Could you even get a bedroom?
No. For a 2-bedroom with one roommate, because I'm looking right now.
Well, don't forget 2-bedroom. I've seen people talk about friggin' in New York talking about like studios, like closets.
Yes. It's like $2,000 a month.
For minimum. A closet.
Mm-hmm.
With like no windows
to live. Yes.
And a friggin' bed that comes out of the wall.
Yes. Yep.
That you're basically designed to never spend time in.
Mm-hmm. And just need a place to sleep.
Yeah. And yet,
you can't
because it's tiny, you can't afford to like make your own food. So you got to keep going out, which is expensive. And it's like this cyclical thing that you can't get out of.
No, you can't. I'm feeling that right now.
And houses are
I'm
insane.
Like digging a hole. Oh my gosh.
7% interest rate on houses.
Mm-hmm.
On a house, on a mortgage.
Yeah, it's really messed up. My mortgage, I just looked into it. If I purchase it now, it's double the price than what it was last year at this month, which is just wild.
And the funny thing is most of these banks could afford to not give those interest rates. They're raising it. Yes, I know the Federal Reserve is raising the interest rate, but banks can decide their own dang interest rate. Yeah. There's no law that says just because the Federal Reserve raised it, we must raise it.
Exactly.
If they've got money, they can lend out their money at whatever dang rate they want to.
They got money, honey.
They got so much money. Do you know why they have so much money? Because of COVID. because when COVID happened, in order to make it so banks didn't crash. So there's a rule.
Ooh.
There's a rule for banks that you could not before COVID, that you could not lend out more than 90% of your assets or something like that.
Okay.
So what banks do, so for those of you that for people listening that don't know how banks work, when you put money in, money in the bank, they take that money and they lend it to other people.
Oh, yes.
Normally, if they have $100 billion worth of assets that people have deposited in their bank, they could only lend out 900 million of it. Well, when COVID happened, they could lend out it all. They basically just opened the doors. So, and because of the way the banking system works, they literally could lend on, bring in on, lend on, and it's like the cyclical thing. So they literally, like, up to like 8 times or something ridiculous like that, they can actually lend on the same dollar that you put in.
Wow. Okay.
Because if they lend out to someone, then they're putting money back in, which they're then able to lend out.
So it's better for the banks.
Oh, it's so much better.
Yeah.
Banks are literally making money, which again, they've had record profits too, but they're making money hand over fist.
Everyone's having record profits except for Citizens.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And you know who wants that to keep happening?
No.
Republicans. And I know there are Democrats that are greedy and do that kind of stuff too. But in general, let's be fair.
Yeah.
If you're talking what people are saying, it's the Republicans.
Interesting. Well, the whole like taxing the rich thing too.
Yeah.
That's a
trickle down economics that doesn't work. Yep. The fact is all economic ideas, trickle down economics, even the ideas of like socialism that everyone is scared to death of. Socialism, pure socialism in a perfect world is actually one of the most ideal societies that we could live in.
Okay, so what is socialism?
Socialism basically is the idea that everyone lives for the betterment of others. Okay. No one actually like owns per se, like the government, quote unquote, like no one, it's not run by capitalism doesn't. Businesses don't run everything kind of a thing. Yes. But this idea that everyone like works to help the society that they are living in, The problem is we are all selfish, greedy motherfuckers. Pardon my language, but we are. As a whole, I'm sure there are people that are listening that are like, that's not me. I hope that's not you.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that I am not that way. But the fact is, a majority of business owners only care about how much money they can make.
Yes.
And when you live in a society where people only care about how much money they can make, how much power they can get, things that talk about the betterment of others don't work.
Yeah.
So trickle-down economics as a whole has the potential of working. You give tax breaks to the rich, which allow the rich to spend more of their money, which go to the people that, are under them. The problem is when these places want to make more money, the people want to make more money. So what do they do with this money that they've been saving because they get their tax breaks? They either invest it and get more money or put it in the bank and get more money. Like they don't spend it because you can only spend so much freaking money.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. The jackpot is like $1.2 billion now. And I was just like, no one can spend $1.2 billion.
No, and also the poor people that do win, like, have to go into hiding.
Oh yeah, they probably like out. Everyone I've heard of that was like super poor when they won the jackpot, like either dies early or like loses their money like within like a couple years because they've never had money, so they don't know how to deal with money. Living in Florida is pretty bad right now. I mean, it could get better, but right now it's pretty bad, especially after the hurricane. It got pretty bad.
Interesting. Okay, so because of the hurricane, is it because like relief funds were not available, or people,
just
lost their homes?
There's a lot of reasons. Most home insurance companies are going out of business or have left Florida altogether because they can't afford to. They can't afford the costs.
Oh my God! Oh, that's awful.
So it's near impossible to get homeowners insurance in Florida now.
Wow.
Especially southern Florida near coasts and stuff.
Okay, never mind. I'm not moving.
It's pretty expensive there too.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, what were we talking about?
How we were never going to buy a home.
Now, do you own yours or do you rent?
Yes, we bought our house 2010. So it was still in the burst. It was still after the housing burst in 2008.
Wow.
And we got a tiny house. Like we pay like $500 something in mortgage.
Goodbye. It was nice knowing you. That's absolutely wild. Full discretion, I need to tell you. So the mortgage I have for a 2-bedroom, and it's actually on the cheaper end, is $1,500 a month. And now it's, if I were to like remortgage it, it'd be $3,000 a month.
Okay.
Isn't that cute?
No, I can't. No, actually the situation we're in is like the only reason why we can afford like me to like be part-time / stay at home / do what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, which is how it used to be, Yeah. Like when my mom was raising me, she was a stay-at-home mom. Yep. Because you could afford to do that. Now you just can't.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and the crazy thing is, you got boomers and Xers that are saying you just gotta work harder.
Yeah, okay, Grandpa.
And it's like it's amazing. I got a lot of people that said that millennials and Zoomers are just lazy. Like straight up, they believe that millennials and Zoomers are just lazy.
Can I have their numbers?
I don't know their numbers. Look in the Was
it on TikTok?
Yeah, it was in responses on TikTok.
Oh my God. That blows my mind. Like I'm working, I think I'm working like 70 plus hours a week. And I can't afford my mortgage.
Yep.
Non-including other expenses, car insurance, health insurance, food, like pet stuff.
Yeah.
Medical bills.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a problem.
It's a big problem. We talked about voting rights a little bit.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the fact, I mean, that's really the other big thing that's going on really when it comes to the election right now is, there's a lot of gerrymandering going on and people are frustrated that, that there's a lot of states are making it harder with the idea that it's going to reduce fraud, even though there hasn't really been any substantial. I mean, there were some, but there's probably some in every election. Yeah. There's some, but when we're saying some, I mean like if you add it all up together, it's probably maybe 100 votes total that were fraudulent, like as it stands right now.
And how many millions of people voted? Millions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot.
Like 100 out of that is like a little drop in the bucket. Not even.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so go vote is what you're saying.
So go vote. Exclamation point vote for those of you that are listening. Go vote. Go find your place. Go vote.
Know who you're voting for. Now I'm gonna after this, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna look up everybody.
Yep.
Regardless of being Democrat or Republican.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because the fact is there's nothing wrong if you lean Democrat. There are some good Republicans out there, and there are some good Democrats out there. And if you are only going to vote for your party just because it's your party, then you're doing this country a disservice. Mm-hmm. Because to just decide that because this person is a Republican or a Democrat, that you can't agree with something someone is doing is absolutely ridiculous, because none of us have ever agreed on everything. No. It's never happened.
I mean, half the time I don't agree with what I'm thinking. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I could see that. I mean, how many people probably have gone up and gone, I think I want to get a grilled cheese sandwich. No, I don't want to get a grilled cheese sandwich.
All the time. All the time.
Oh, man. All right.
Another thing we didn't even... Oh, go ahead.
No. What were you going to say?
Well, we didn't even touch on it. We don't have to touch on it today if you want to go into the Q&A. But it's like environmental issues.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've talked about... Because there's just so much to this, we actually talked about... We might do another one. Like, normally this is going to be every Tuesday we do it. But because next Tuesday is election day... We haven't decided exactly what we're going to talk about, because there's no point in talking about the politics of it, because if you guys haven't voted by the time we're doing this, actually most places have closed or almost closed by the time we even start. So it would be kind of pointless to talk politics next. So we might do another one, like I think we said like Friday maybe, because your schedule like looks like it'll work Friday.
Yeah, I'm pretty open on Friday.
So we might do another one on Friday. We can talk about more of the stuff having to do with politics. But then normally it'll be every Tuesday, and
immigration.
Unless we get we can do immigration too. Yep.
Sorry, these are all coming to my brain now. Yep. The stuff that we have to talk
about. See, your brain only took an hour and 15 minutes to kick in, guys. Only took an hour and 15 minutes.
I'm here now. Doesn't mean I'm going to listen, though.
Yeah. We're going to go. So we're going to go into what we're calling now, what we call right now, happy time. I don't know what we're going to call it. But for now, we're calling it happy time. The purpose of happy time is, we've been talking about all these deep emotional subjects. So what we're going to do is we looked up some happy subjects, some things that have gone on in the world, in the US or whatever, over the past like week or two, that just, you hear it and you're like, it makes you smile a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to do. I got 3. How many did you get again?
I got 1.
You got 1. So, I think I'm going to start. I think we're going to start with me. So we're going to start, the first one I'm going to start with is one that is it makes you happy in the sense of it's just pretty cool that they did it. Okay?
What if we have the same one?
I doubt we do. If you have this one, I would be amazed. Okay, so Halloween was yesterday, and I found a thing where a bakery in California for Halloween created a 6-foot replica of Star Wars frozen in carbonite out of bread.
Are you kidding me?
And they call it Pan Solo.
Stop. That's absolutely amazing.
And I just saw that. I was like, I saw the picture and it was brilliant.
Oh.
It was absolutely brilliant.
Okay, excuse my tippy typies. I have to look this up. Pan Solo.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Oh my god, it's like spot on.
Yeah, they did good.
That's bread?
Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Out of bread. 100 hours. 100 hours to make it.
Do you know how many people were working on it?
I don't think the thing said.
I'm putting you on the spot.
The entire bakery, just 3 months of planning and 12 14-hour shifts.
Holy moly.
Like
that's amazing.
That's got to be. There's a picture. It looks like there was 2 people.
Can I eat it?
I don't think you'd want to. That bread was there for 3 months.
Oh, never mind. I missed that part. Never mind. I don't want it. I don't want it. Surprised it's not moldy.
Well, I mean, if you stale it, it wouldn't go moldy.
Stop. So, okay, I'm looking at this picture too, and instead of Jabba the Hutt, they put Java the Hutt. This is like coffee shop.
I mean, haven't you heard that a million times?
No, I've never.
I'm pretty sure I've heard the coffee shop Java the Hutt.
There's a coffee shop called Java.
I'm sure there is. If there's not, then we need to open one right now.
Nope, there is.
Yeah. I was about to say, if there wasn't one, we would have had to have opened it. Because,
oh, absolutely.
Because
that's such a great play.
That would have been the perfect name.
Java Hut. Java the Huts. Java Hut Cafe. There's many different places you can go.
Yeah.
What a great story. I loved it.
All right, what's yours?
Okay, so I do mine a little bit differently.
Oh gosh.
Well, okay, so I I took it and then I wrote it down because my brain doesn't work, so I had to actually read it. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
This year, okay, we were also talking about monopolies. We didn't really get into it, and I think it's very ironic because this is about a monopoly. But this year, Spirit Halloween, headquartered in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, reached the $100 million in total donations, the foundation announced in a press release. And what they do also every single year, I think they said since 2003, with 150 different locations, they have a Halloween party in children's hospitals.
Oh, nice.
So they bring supplies like costumes, activity books, treat bags. They bring it to the partner hospitals, and they have like this huge bash.
That's awesome.
For the kids. Yes. I think that's so wonderful, especially for, everyone should be able to enjoy that, and kids that are stuck in hospitals.
Heck yeah.
So what did I say, $200 million? No, it was 100 million.
Oh, only 100 million?
Only
Forget
100
it.
million.
It's no good.
That's not enough.
Doesn't matter. just get over it. Get over yourself.
But I think that's so amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It just shows what cool things that people can do.
Yes. Especially when you have the money.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my other one, this is a cool one. And it's interesting because it has to do with hospitals. So in Indiana, an Indiana mom opened up a hair salon inside of hospitals to pamper parents of NICU babies. So when you have babies in the NICU, you end up spending all of your time there. So
Absolutely.
she opened up.
I have a parent of a NICU babies.
She opened up a salon in there to basically, do their hair and let them relax for a little bit while they're there with their kids.
That's so wonderful, especially because having NICU babies is terrifying.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Literally can't.
Super traumatizing. That's amazing.
I can't imagine a baby coming out that early, especially because my daughter was born 30 minutes past her due date.
Oh my gosh. That's adorable.
Yeah. She wanted out.
Oh,
she wanted out.
Yeah.
She wanted out on her due date, but she was running a little bit late.
I think I was a month late. I was a big fat baby.
Which is hilarious because you're a tiny human.
I'm very small. I'm 5'4".
You barely grew.
This is how I popped out. The 5'4" little baby.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the last one that
sounds painful.
It's super painful. My mom tells me every day.
Every day?
Every day.
At least when she's upset at you?
Yes. She's like, you are 5'4".
You know how Do you know how much pain you're causing me right now, Rosie? How much, Mom? Almost as much as you caused me when I had to shove you out of my body.
Literally, that's it. Good job. Are you my mom?
I feel like sometimes when I hang out with you, I am, actually. If we're going to be honest here, I feel a kinship with your mom more than I probably should.
You literally are my mom.
But, okay, so the last story that I found So you know the school Rutgers University.
Mm-hmm.
So Rutgers University, they're one of their medical school, the class for their medical school students has basically created a class that is completely designed around the Netflix show Stranger Things.
Okay.
So basically the idea is they watch it in order to help them study psychiatric disorders.
Oh, wow. Wait, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So if you want to be a medical student in Rutgers, you could watch like Netflix for an entire semester.
That is super cool. I know we were talking about this the other day of how that must be, it's, like right now, especially. I mean, I have ADHD, so I'm totally one of these people, but
oh yeah,
it's great to be able to watch something that retains your attention. And like you can just, it's an easier way to learn, Yeah. It's more hands-on.
Yep.
That's super cool.
Yeah. I liked it.
I like it too. Good story. And now I'll know next time I'll bring more than one.
I mean, you don't have to. It's just unless we're gonna talk about it all, like we're already done, and we've only, it's only like 5 minutes. Yeah. So is there anything else anyone wants? So here, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. We'll cut this out a little bit, but we'll do all of our ending stuff for the recording side of it, and we can just hang out with Chad, and if they have other things they want to talk about until 9 o'clock, then we'll just go there. So, obviously. This was a really cool time. It was awesome to hang out and talk about all these really tough subjects. So we're thinking Friday we're gonna come back and we're gonna do this again. We're gonna continue on all of the things that have to do with the political landscape that people care about, i.e. Immigration,
climate change,
all the things out there that people are, the war in
oh my gosh,
in Ukraine. So we will come back and we will talk about those things. But normally this is going to happen every Tuesday, and we are going to have special guests. I've actually already started talking to some people that Rosie doesn't even know about. I've already talked to a couple people about potentially coming on as guests, having to do with some different aspects of life that I just thought it would be cool to talk about. One of which Rosie you will be an expert in. So as opposed to now where you knew nothing. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what it is.
It'll be interesting. So so make sure we'll go to the people specific. Make sure if you don't already and you want to, Rosie, tell everyone where they can follow you on all the different social medias.
Oh yes, I think my name is actually just Rosiecheeks TTV on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. Those are like just the 3 that I do.
Okay, and we'll post these in like the description below and stuff like that. You can follow me. It's just Natiffan on Twitch. I think it's just Natiffan on TikTok. I think even it might just be Natiffan on Instagram. I can't remember. If it's not just Natiffan, it's Natiffan TTV. I know it is on YouTube. It's just Natiffan TTV.
Mine's Rosiecheeks TTV on TTV.
We're gonna post the video on YouTube. We're gonna put the audio up on Spotify, probably Apple Podcast as well. So please follow us on all of those. Help us grow this. We want this to become a really big thing. We want, as you can see, we like to talk, and we think we can have some fun conversations, some fun, just really grow. We can grow and have fun doing it. Make sure you go out and vote.
Yes.
Whether early voting or voting on election day, just get out there. Do it. The way I always put it is, you can't complain about how crappy our society is if you don't do your part to make it the way you want it to be. So if you don't vote, you aren't doing your part. You're not putting a say in, so you aren't really allowed to complain about if it doesn't happen the way you want it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, check us out, give us a follow, and you guys are all awesome. We will see you on the next Brutal Truth. Bum 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 bum. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, bye guys.
This is cute.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah.